After 10,000 reservations on Airbnb, here are the 4 things that I do to keep my listings optimized and to beat my competition. So step 1 is to hire a professional photographer. 50% of American hosts right now are taking iPhone photos, or they're not hiring a professional photographer. So it's a colossal mistake. So travelers make their decision based on photos first. They'll look at your reviews second. They'll scrutinize your location. They'll look a little bit closer in your location third. And then lastly, they'll read. So you want to have the best photos possible. It's such a no-brainer. Just hire an Airbnb deluxe photographer, or you can even go on Instagram and hire a young photographer in that market. But get professional photographer. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is get a channel manager and a pricing tool like Price Labs or Hospitable. A channel manager will allow you to do the next step, which is to go multiple platforms really easily. So list your property on Airbnb, but also list it on Vrbo, Expedia, Booking.com, Google Travel, and then move over to the midterm rental and the B2B bucket. So Furnished Finder, insurance company websites like AL Solutions, and then get on the government websites. Go register your company, your LLC, with sam.gov. Once you're registered on sam.gov, then you can shop around for the different agencies, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, HUD. You can look at all the different departments, Department of Defense, for requests for proposals, and you'll send to them the request for that, and you'll get bookings that way. That latter category takes a while to get up, but you can do all of that, and then you can channel all those platforms through one channel manager. And that leads me to the next step. In defense of the hosts who don't go multiple channels, they think it's prohibitively time consuming. It can be if you're doing that yourself. So don't do it yourself. Create a front desk, whether you have 1 door or 60 like I do. Hire a virtual assistant. We hire in the Philippines directly from onlinejobs.ph, $4, maybe $4.50 an hour. They have to have had at least 6 months work experience, full-time work experience here in the United States, working for another host or property manager on Hospitable or whatever channel manager you use. They will deliver to you day 1 value, so that now they're able to take your other unit. Let's just say you have 1 unit on Airbnb. Now they can list you on Booking.com and Expedia and all of those others. You will be so far optimized, more than 90% of the population, and not just the amateurs. You'll be optimized more than the pros. It's striking that you can go on in most markets right now and look at page 1 of Airbnb and find there's 18 listings on page 1, and find a handful of hosts that are not using professional photos. They're not using dynamic pricing, and you can tell by playing around with their calendar. You can double click on their profile and see how many listings they have, and you'll be surprised. A lot of them are amateur hosts. Our competition, the people who we look for, are individuals managing their own condo. And their condos are typically superior properties from ours. We just lease and sublease apartments, and we beat them all day long because ours are optimized. We have professional photos, properly staged, properly listed on multiple channels with dynamic pricing. So you're pricing to suit what the guest needs are and based on market conditions. Pricing software most people don't use because they think it's expensive. It will actually make you money. And so get your pricing software. I love Price Labs, but get on a Price Labs, get on a channel manager, hire a VA to oversee the process. Now, the other part about hiring your VA. So most people think the go-to when they get a new property is to farm it out to a property management service. Don't do that. Very expensive, too expensive. It will take away all your profit. So you have to do it internally, but you don't want to do it yourself or it will become a very active business. The Airbnb business, the short-term rental business, is the most passive business model I know of. If you allow it to be, if you systemize it and put in protocols in all that. So before you hire your VA, you're going to have to create protocols and a system for them. I have mine. If you want to attend my webinar, we have one actually coming up this week, a live webinar where I'm going to talk about our automations process. So it all starts with our VA. We hire, recruit, and train our VA within a 6-day window. And then they're working autonomously by the end of the week. And then they're running your front desk. 90% of what happens in the short-term rental business is communication. Communicating with housekeepers in the turnover processes and scheduling them. Communicating with your guests and giving them information and suiting their needs. And then answering inquiries, even if they're negotiating in the middle of the night. Those are the 3 big buckets. That could be done anywhere in the world. And for us, it's done in the Philippines. And they do that here in the United States for us. They communicate with our housekeepers, and the 10% of the time anyone needs to be on site on your property, that is your housekeeper. And if anything breaks in the apartment building, well, guess what? We're rental arbitragers, so we're putting a ticket in for the building fix it. If it's something of ours breaks, or if it's property that we actually own, then we have a protocol for it. And if the housekeepers can't fix it, and typically they can, if they can't fix it, then yeah, we need to get someone down there. But that's a very seldom occurrence in the totality of the day-to-day operations of the short-term rental business. It's communications first. So our housekeepers actually do way more than cleaning, which is another reason why I don't hire a cleaning service. Hire your own people and train them properly and have them clean, have them do supplies, and then have them do inventory, take photos at the end to memorialize it all in case there's an issue later. And so those are the 4 steps: how we list on multiple platforms, use professional photos and dynamic pricing and software to automate it, load the software with your canned messages so your virtual assistant is armed with the information he or she needs to communicate, and then give them the authorization of parameters. And what I mean by that is too often the VAs are trained improperly, and so they're relaying questions to you all day long. A question from the guest relays to you. An inquiry comes in and they want a military discount. Hey, do we give that? Give them the information up front. Give them the information to manage the housekeepers up front, and then the parameters of what they're authorized to do. Yes, you may give a discount for people in this 10%, or whatever the thing is. If you don't give them the information, then they're not armed properly, and then all they're going to do is relay questions to you. And that's how they're trained by Airbnb and trained by a bunch of companies, and it's improper. They should be able to work autonomously and trust your VA. They're the best people, the most important people on your team, about equal, I guess you could say, with the housekeepers. So those are the 4 things that we do to maintain our super host status and our premier host status, and on the top of all the platforms on which we book, and to get inbound requests weekly from insurance companies and government contractors, all kinds of other stays. So we have a 3-tiered guest experience category. So we're in vacation markets, business travel markets, and work travel markets. So work travel and leisure markets is the markets we're in. Long gone are the days that we're focused on vacation rental. In fact, we're not vacation rental hosts. We're, work, business, and leisure, and midterm rental and short-term rental, all of the above. So I hope that helps, and see you on the other side.